Hi, this is the Science of Conversation, and I'm Michelle Stills, the conversation coach. So I've been asked to break down the freeze video, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. I'm going to try to do it in 5 minutes or less. How about that? And what we're going to do is we're going to pick it up at the conversational progression. And if you haven't seen that video, don't worry, I'm about to go over it. So, what's happening is we're talking, just having a conversation. It's going however it usually goes. Then something happens. We don't know what. We're not sure yet. We're not going to cover that in this video. But there are a lot of things that can happen, and we'll look at those in future videos. But now we feel some kind of way. And that some kind of way tends to manifest as a freeze response. It can be fight, flight, freeze, fawn, appease, but in this case, it's usually a freeze, and that means what do I say? I feel frozen here, literally, in this conversation. I can't organize my thoughts. I can't seem to access what I have to say. Now I start thinking thoughts like I just don't have anything to say. And if we allow ourselves to keep going down that path too long, we start to believe that we don't have anything to say. And you do. You have a lot to say. You've just got to get past this freeze, this amygdala hijack, so that you can show up as who you are, as your authentic self. You're in there. So let's look at what's happening. In this conversation, at some point, you perceived something from the environment, from the speaker. It could have been a look. There are all sorts of things it could be, and some sort of leftover artifact. I have videos that cover that, and we'll go into them in depth in future videos, but I am trying to keep this one a little bit shorter. So something happens and it hits your brain, specifically your amygdala, which there are two. They're amygdalae, and they're the older part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that sits there and looks out and says, "What's going on? Is this a safe situation? Is this a good person for me to be talking to? Are we going to bond and connect, or are they going to judge me? Are they a bigger lizard? Do I need to run?" And so that's what the lizard's there for. So it's great and it's important. But it doesn't necessarily need to show up in our conversations, because what we need in our conversations is a conductor, an executive, and that's our prefrontal cortex. And so what we need is to give ourselves a little bit of time to slow down the lizard. But first, we have to acknowledge that the lizard is there. Because what the lizard does is when it senses something in this conversation, it starts causing our brain to release cortisol, norepinephrine, these really chemicals that shut us down. That's what they're for. Remember, fight, flight, freeze, appease. These are threat responses. Deer in the headlight, frozen bunny. These are responses meant to keep us alive. But again, we're in a conversation. There is no real threat to our lives. There may be a threat to our psyche, to our ego, to our dignity. What is it? We will want to get to what that is somewhere down the road. But right now, you are freezing because your brain is perfectly normal and it's having a normal threat response. There may be a little social anxiety, maybe just a little conversational situational anxiety. And we just want to calm that down so that we can move on to the next part of the conversation. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for being here. And I hope you have a great week and great conversations.